This is the Australian Mobile DJ Podcast. In this series, we'll talk to them, get to know them, and learn from them. And here's your host, DJ Bevo.
Going to do something different this time. We're talking to a radio DJ. When I say radio DJ, I'm not talking about the guy that goes, all right, coming up, your chance to win a whole stack of cash. We're talking about a DJ that mixes, radio mixes for the radio. You've probably heard him on a station near you on the Hit Network. It is DJ Konsky. Hello, mate.
Bevo, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time everyone gets to listen to this, mate. It's a pleasure to be on. Excited to chat, mate.
Yeah, this is very cool because you're one of the rare DJs that get the opportunity to put your mixes on the radio compared to most DJs that have to do it live in front of a crowd. How did you get into the whole mashup thing? Is it because you've got a radio background? Is that sort of how it came about?
I think that's the token reason for it. Quick background on my thing. I wanted to be a songwriter.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I did all my theory exams and keyboard and piano. And my first actual training and job experience was in Melbourne. I don't know if you remember the band CDB.
Yeah, I had a promotion when I started in radio. CCDB with Lee.
That is amazing. And I actually use Andrew Da Silva, who's the lead frontman for CDB, to do our vocals on R&B Fridays.
Cool.
Which is wicked. So yeah, I started doing production and songwriting in their studio. And by default, I had two of my best mates from high school had this stupid idea to do a community radio show and needed to do a demo, and I was the token one with some recording equipment. So we did, they did the demo with me. I'd tag along. They did this breakfast show at 6 a.m. on the weekend. We'd make some skits, and I fell in love with the craft, and then production began. And, I used to love, so they were one of those aspirant stations that were all about dance.
Which station was that? Was that Kiss?
Oh, mate, it's that long ago.
I can't remember. Okay.
You had those aspirant stations. You had your Wilds.
Yeah, I was on Wild FM in Brisbane, yeah.
And so you'd hear the Wild Mega Mixes, and I was just like, oh, this is sick. Yeah. I'd love to do something like that. So, I had a good pitch, really, fortunately, a natural flair for pitch control. And so my first foray into it was, I don't know if you've ever used it, was a program called Sonic Foundry Acid.
Oh, yeah.
And you could do essentially warping and morphing in acid to create these little mixes. So I'd make them for the aspirant station, and that's how it all began, and it continues today. Yeah,
well, these days you're the head of production for the Southern Cross Stereo Network. A big title to have. Your introduction to commercial radio. Do you remember how it all happened?
I do, mate. I actually, I have a Bachelor of Business. I did it as a safety net, one of those things where you finish high school and you're like, I really should do something as a fail-safe. I did that. I worked in HR for Coles Myer for a few years, and I hated it. It just wasn't where I wanted to be. So I would take annual leave from my day job to go and fill in for commercial production or casual footy production at Triple M and Fox until a job opportunity came up. Went for the interview. I was lucky to have it. I actually started late into radio. I know a lot of guys probably start, 18 and what have you. I didn't start until I was 24.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So that was my first gig, and then literally I did commercial production for about a year, and then my mate Craig Bruce gave me a call and said, do you want to come and do the Hot 30? Because I did some guest mixes on the Hot 30. I put my hand up from day dot to saying, hey, can I I want the experience. Here's a couple of examples of what I can do, just to say, hey, the work's good enough. And it was actually the mixes that got me my leg in the door for the Hot 30 back then. And then, mate, it was, talk about a flashback. So then it was a young, super talented Craig Lowe that was at the helm of the Hot 30. And we were making, so my daily routine was I'd get up, I'd make 2 mashups for the night show, head into work, do my job for the Hot 30, and it was literally I think 10 to 12 mashups a week.
Wow.
So that got me up to speed really quick with turning it around.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty intense time. I mean, Lowey was nationwide around the country and a really big name. And was he quite demanding to work for? Because I know he was very fast paced with what he did. It's
not demanding. He was creatively obsessed.
Creative, yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
And that obsessed word, design obsessed, just throwing out the rule book, challenging, how can we morph different genres of music into imaging. He loved to sketch. He loved to sing. So I look back on that, although, you worked your butt off, they were long hours. It crafted, whether you were in audio, whether you were a producer, for example, on the show, it really crafted you into being able to tackle a lot of obstacles.
When you're putting your mixes together, do you listen sometimes to a song and you go, oh, that reminds me of this song, and then you try and blend the two together to see if it's like seamless almost?
I'm sure you are exactly the same, right? You'll be in the car listening to something or listening to something subconsciously in the background, and you'll automatically start singing another tune to that.
Yes.
And then you go and quickly jump into Tools or Ableton, Logic, whatever you use, and it happens. That part's pretty freaky, but you're a walking, talking mashup machine wherever you go.
One I've always wanted to try, but I've never had the chance to, is there's a breakdown in China Phillips, I Live For You, and Vibe, Warm Summer Days. It's got a very similar sound, but I've never been able to quite get it right. So that's a little challenge for you, Konsky. See if you can get the breakdown in that China Phillips song to match up with to Vibe, Warm Summer Days. You know the songs I'm talking about, don't you?
I know the songs, and you know what? Once we're done with this chat...
You like a good challenge.
you can put this in post.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen.
Oh, fantastic. DJ Konsky, put on the spot. So these days, you've moved on from acid. It sounds like I'm talking about a drug, but no, we're talking about a bit of software, a DAW, digital audio workstation. You're more familiar with Pro Tools. You loving Pro Tools? You love how flexible it is and what you can do with it?
Yeah, look, it's one of those things where you grow up with it. So it's a seamless approach. For long form mixes, I will use Ableton just for the simplicity of warp mode, tempo matching. Pro Tools does have that functionality, but for the intricacies of the mashups, for example, that I make for the guys on Hit, there's so many acapellas, instrumental bits. So the ease of use and editing, Pro Tools is so quick with that.
And where do you find like the acapellas and all that sort of stuff? Is there special places you can, get the songs stripped back to the vocals?
Look, if you don't, it's not always that you get access to it. Obviously, if I need something, we'll put a request out to, and that's just purely from a radio station standpoint, we can put in requests. But otherwise, I subscribe to sites, whether it's Digital Music Pool, I'll stream YouTube, whether it's some Reddit pages if I'm really searching. But my one go-to tool if I need for a quick little DIY will be a plugin by Isotope. It's called RX8, and it has a music rebalance on it. So essentially you can choose to either strip it for the instrumental or you can strip it for the vocal. And then it's just some selective EQing and some little delays and reverbs to hide any imperfections from a DIY.
Wow, that's getting very technical. A lot of the live guys are going, oh, wow, this guy's awesome. He does it all in production. Your ability to perform live, you do a few corporate gigs as well, don't you? Not only in the production studio, but you get out in front of a live crowd to get the buzz happening.
I do love that intermittently. I was lucky to probably get out 4 or 5 times a year to do that. The day job's super busy. Obviously, you have to be a hubby and a dad at the same time.
Yeah.
But getting out, getting the crowd going, using some of the obviously now with pads on the CDJs, you can almost know what you can craft together for a live mashup. So having an acapella ready to go, playing with your delays, your reverbs, your echoes, your phases. That part I love. I miss it. But I'm not craving getting out there doing gigs at this stage.
Well, it sounds like you're a true master when it comes to the live performance and actually doing it live. I do hear there's a lot of DJs out there that pose as if they're DJs, but their mixes are pre-recorded and they just get up and pretend they're playing it. How did that come about, do you reckon? Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. It's disappointing, and the way that they get caught out is you see these YouTube videos of them having one fader up, and look, they want to entertain.
Yeah.
I'm not here to throw stones. Maybe they're not confident performing live. They love something that they've crafted themselves, or in some cases, mate, there's ghost producers.
Yes.
That do all these mixes, and unfortunately, when we talk about where the economy's at the moment, once things open up, those DJs that really do have spent their time and money on working on their craft really do deserve the opportunity to have these live gigs, because that's their passion.
When you talk about Wild FM and hearing the mega mixes that you heard from Alex K on that, you had the chance to meet Alex over the years?
Haven't met Alex because Alex was a Sydney guy, but the one person that I was fortunate to have as a colleague and now as a great mate is DJ Casey Baker.
Yes.
Casey used to do some production. He used to be the Today FM image producer. And his work still to this day, hands down, as an energy producer, as a house producer and DJ, he can still mix it with the best. Age is not a barrier, but in terms of inspiration for me, what I do, Bevo, is really, it's a finicky little intricate kind of thing where it's a lot of pitch control with multiple acapellas and instrumentals. So there wasn't really anyone to doing that mold besides, I'm sure we've all heard of DJ Earworm,
yes,
who had those big end of year mashups. And I remember at the time going, man, that sounds so bloody cool, but I want to do that and I want to do it better. Yeah. It wasn't a competition. It was more so, no one's doing it here.
Yeah.
And why do we have to wait till the end of the year? Why can't we have that here in Australia? So, my break into having the mixes, and I wasn't searching for the DJ Konsky on air persona. It was more so I wanted to create some. It came to me going, can anyone do some mixes? Actually, I remember. There's this. It's an artist's birthday. Can we do a DJ mix? And I remember putting my hand up. And they loved it. And, there was a craving for more because there wasn't anything like that on air at the time, where you could probably cram, 12 minutes of songs into 6 minutes creatively.
It must be a very, how should I say this, time-consuming task, because people think, it goes for so many... it only goes for 6 minutes or whatever, so they think, oh yeah, he's just in his bedroom with the DJ decks and mixing up. It'd be a very time-consuming task to put a 6 minute tight mix together, wouldn't it?
It comes together quick if there's no restrictions. So
Okay.
if you know what genre that you're working with, so if you know you're doing a straight R&B or a pop, and you have control of tempos, and then you can, for me, a quick one. While the ear is a great tool where I can naturally say, hey, this will work. I still need to go back to things like mixed in key, where I will batch export the songs that are in our library and key match up just to make it easy.
Yep.
And then, you know, I'll probably spend the end of year mashup, for example, that I do, because work's been so busy, I generally leave it till the last minute, and I'll try and cram it in probably for 3 nights and spend about 4 hours on each time. So yeah, the end of year one probably takes about 12 hours.
Yep.
But on average, you know, to whip up a mashup in Pro Tools, I'll probably spend an hour. I've got it down pat now.
Yeah, I was going to say, when do you actually...
No, at the start, mate, it was... I could probably find myself after 4 hours going, really? We've just done this. All right, we got to move on, mate.
Yeah.
And we're all there. We're all there because it starts as a hobby, and it's a good distraction to have that creative process. You know, when you find yourself, you look at that clock and you go, damn, I've been doing this for hours. You're having fun.
Yeah, that's it.
You're learning. I still love learning till this day, every day.
We've got a Facebook page where people can check out how you put your mixes together. You would have heard the recent one that I posted up on a group from DJ, I can't even think of the guy's name, but he had Nickelback in it, talking about pants around his feet, and he loves pants and stuff like that, which, I don't know, you can get some pretty creative stuff happening, can't you? You know the guy I'm talking about?
Let's not can Nickelback. I am partial to a couple of Nickelback songs.
Yeah.
I've actually been hearing some awesome Nickelback parodies around COVID. So,
Perfect.
However you do it, mash it up, smash it up in a parody. I'm all for the creative process.
Awesome stuff. Dave Konsky, DJ Konsky, thanks for joining us on the Australian Mobile DJ podcast, mate. Hopefully I'll get along and see a corporate gig of yours if I can get a backstage pass or something if I'm not in that corporate crew.
Mate, when we can leave Melbourne and head up to Vegas,
yep.
We're doing it.
The Australian Mobile DJ podcast was hosted by DJ Bevo and produced by Matt Fulton Productions.